Inspires Me, a show about wellness, amazing people, and information to inspire you to take charge of your life and your health. Hey there, friends. Well, today I wanted to talk about what's been all over the news recently is Alex Trebek announcing that he's dealing with pancreatic cancer. And for those of you that probably saw his announcement, it's amazing how brave and positive he is about all this. And that's a key thing with anybody that's going to try to battle something like that. And I've mentioned this even recently in one of my other podcasts, that your outlook on it can have a big influence impact on the outcome and survival. But one of the things I wanted to talk about today is a concern I have in the flurry of news articles I'm seeing on the low survival rate. And to me, I wonder sometimes how helpful that is. Now, here's a guy who doesn't know him? Probably other than maybe Bob Barker, everybody knows who Alex Trebek is, even if you don't watch Jeopardy or whatever else he's been involved in, but just a really cool guy. I loved the show and I loved watching him. He had such a great demeanor and he just seems like a really cool guy. I've never obviously met him, and it's sad to hear that he's dealing with that, because I can imagine, although outwardly he seems to be very positive, it's got to be extremely stressful on him and his loved ones, and to all of us fans. Many of you guys know I lost my father to lung and colon cancer, and it's hard. In fact, not just my father, but I've lost many people around me. I've lost a coworker several years ago, shortly before my father. One of my best friends lost his wife, and I've had numerous other people I've known that have succumbed to cancer. And I've had a lot of people around me who have battled it and survived too. And I'm very proud that they set good examples for others. And I think Alex is another great example of somebody who's grabbing the bull by the horns and saying, hey, I'm going to have a good attitude about this. So that was something that I was particularly impressed. But one of the things that bothers me about this flurry of articles is something I have heard about in reading about people who have chronic conditions, is when doctors or other professionals tell their patients about the outcome, or tell them the survival rate, or they tell them their thoughts or opinions on the condition, it can affect the person, because the doctor is seen as an authority, and the person may not have such a good attitude and may not survive because of it. And this phenomenon is called transference phenomenon, where the doctor kind of transfers their beliefs and it becomes the person's belief. And I have seen a number of articles out there. I'm not going to cite any of them, but I have seen quite a few, especially if you just Google Alex Trebek right now, they'll just all pop up, where people are talking about the low survival rate, yada, yada, yada. And, I really question how helpful that is at this time. I think, if anything right now, this man and his family need positivity and support, because let's face it, okay? All right, if we know these things, it's not helping to point it out. It's not really helpful. Maybe people are looking at it from an educational standpoint, and I get it. They mentioned, I forgot, there was a famous singer who passed away, and of course, Patrick Swayze died from the very same condition, and he was much younger. And it's sad. It's sad to see people struggle and pass away from that. And I wish Alex all the best in this. And I think that despite his age and despite the stage, because I believe it's stage 4 is what I read, his attitude should carry him a long way. And he's setting himself as a great role model for other people who are surviving this, despite, I think, the negative impact that this flurry of pointing out the survival rate may have. And if you guys saw my video, I talked about Dream It to Change It, my podcast. And it's kind of the same thing, where if you put something in somebody's mind or if they picture themselves that way, and I think if Alex can avoid looking at some of these things and just ignore what everybody's saying about the survival rate, screw these experts. Who cares what they say? Beat the odds. Because, hey, you're listening to a guy here who beat the odds in terms of my health. Now, I wasn't facing an immediate death risk, but I certainly, at the weight I was at and the health conditions and comorbidities that I had, was not doing quite well. And to lose over 200 pounds on my own was certainly beating the odds. So people can beat the odds. I certainly haven't done something as amazing as beating cancer, but losing over 200 pounds certainly is no small thing. And I tell you what, as long as there's breath in his lungs and his heart is still beating, this man has a potential to beat this thing. And I truly believe that. So my thoughts are really on him today, and I pray for him and his family that they can move through this, and then he can have many more years of life ahead of him. And I guess that's all I really wanted to say. So I hope it's been helpful here in my perspective on this. So, about kind of that positive attitude that he has, but how also the pointing out the negativity is not necessarily a helpful thing. So, all right. Hope you guys are having a great day wherever you are, and stay awesome.